right, all right, all right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the Misfit Nation. Yeah! In a room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Artists with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight, to the end. We are the Misfit Nation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up, this is our song. Yeah, this is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed, that's the misfit way. If it's heavy right now, in the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, in the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, in the dark feels close. It's Aubrey right now, we're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We are the Misfit Nation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fire, from the fight, to the end. We are the Misfit Nation. Every voice is fabrication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home, you belong.
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation and the Sunday after dinner edition, coming at you from an hour ahead into the future in the Eastern Standard Time tonight, as we are on yet another road trip. It's great to be here in the state of Maryland again, where I lived for the last couple of years of my career. Now we're in Frederick, Maryland, a new pin to put in our map for the Misfit Nation of where we've gone live. Tonight we have a great guest, but before we get to that, let's pay a little homage and keep our thoughts and prayers in mind for Kentucky, the Kenwood Middle School in Clarksville, Tennessee, my hometown. Tragic bus accident the other day. We lost 2 little girls, Ariel and Zoe. We lost them, and in the crash, 2 fatalities their names are going across the bottom of the screen right now. Keep them, their families, of course, their classmates that were on that bus and seen that, and they're going to have to think about that for the rest of their lives. And their classmates that are in school on Monday and not going to see them anymore. Let's keep them in your thoughts and prayers as we go through our days, and make sure you hug those little ones that you have in your lives every day. Make sure they know you love them, and make sure you always tell the people around you that you love them, because you never know when tragedy can strike. I don't like starting the shows off like on bad notes like this, but I believe that we need to pay homage to those 2 little girls and their families. And let's keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this horrible time. Now let's switch the pace and get our guest coming up on here. He's an Army veteran, a military and government contractor in both Iraq and Afghanistan for 15 years. He worked on programs like the Afghan Special Forces Mentoring and Training Program and the Iraqi Air Force Pilot and Maintainers Training Program. Now he's an author of the book Amir, and I'm going to let him tell you more about himself as I bring him in. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Dean Davidson to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Dean.
Hey, Rich, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'd like to kind of piggyback off of what you said. Thoughts and prayers go out to those family members. Also would like to remember the 13 that we've lost already in Epic Fury as well.
Thank you. That's a very important one as well. And to those war fighters that are over there at the tip of the spear, giving it all they got every day, 24/7 really. They have to duck, dive, dodge every day because all the stuff that's coming at them, the things we don't see on TV, the things that the news doesn't share with us. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and those men and women are on the front lines doing the things that we take for granted now. Even now, I know what it is, having served, you've been over there, and now we kind of take for granted those freedoms that we have here while they're on the front line. So thank you for bringing that up. I kind of let that go tonight, but thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, Dean, I told you I was only going to give a little bit about you and let you do the rest of the talking about Dean. So tell us as much about you as you want to, from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are today.
I'm an old guy. I joined right out of high school, 17, got the waiver, went in. Did basic at Fort Dix, New Jersey, in the middle of a blizzard. That was some fun times. Went to AIT at Fort Lee, Virginia. Ended up quartermaster. And then when I got to my first assignment in Germany, got promoted rather quickly. Made E4 from E1 to E4 in less than a year. And then got sent to Vilsec to the small arms school, which absolutely loved serving as the armor. Love weapons, and so that was kind of a natural fit for me. Loved Germany back then. It was an entirely different country back in the 80s. So and then after a few years, ended up getting out of the service at Fort Jackson, and then kind of tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Had no real direction after getting out. At the beginning of the first Gulf War, tried to re-enlist. That was an interesting story. Recruiter called me back a few days later, said, "You did say re-enlist, right?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, we got a problem. I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" He goes, "DA has no records of you ever being in the military."
Oh man.
So spent nearly a year through MilPers and some other avenues trying to piece my my military records back together. But yeah, I found military contracting in 2005. Started contracting a couple of years here and there with a couple of different government contracting companies overseas in Iraq. Did my first deployment out to Afghanistan in 2008. Good friend of mine, one of my absolute best friends in the world, retired Air Force E8, sadly no longer with us. I was working a dead-end job at the time, and after having already been in Iraq for several years or a few years rather, and doing a desk job, ready to slit my wrist with a spork, and Smitty called me from overseas, said, "Hey, you want a job?" And I said, "Well, what are you doing?" "Well, don't worry about it. You want a job?" I said, "Well, who are you working for?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. You want a job." I'm like, where are you at? He said, "I'm in Afghanistan. This is what it pays." And I said, "All right, when do I leave?" So it turned out that was my introduction into contracting directly with the teams. And that was a part of the Afghan Commando and mentoring training program that we did out in Kabul. My very first day on the ground, Smitty tossed me the keys. and said, "You're going to have to drive. You're going to have to figure out where we're going because I'm taking PTO in 2 weeks."
Oh wow!
And so we had this little 4-cylinder Hilux soft shell. We didn't drive around in convoys. We kind of came and went as we pleased. We had a little placard up on our windshield, and we got in and out of the gate whenever we decided to. And we pulled out of the depot after going and checking in some equipment there for the team. Pulled out onto Jalalabad Road, and I noticed a red Toyota Corolla pull right out behind us from the side of the road, started following us. We hadn't even gotten our sidearms issued at that point. And so I'm kind of downshifting, trying to pick up speed and going through traffic. And of course, you know, the little buses that pull over on the side of the road, pick people up and take them a little ways down the road, and they get off. And we saw the bus pull out into our lane. Smitty was like, "Bus." I said, "I got him. Got it." What I didn't get was the bus had stopped right in the middle of our lane because there were no taillights on the back of that bus. And we ended up hitting the back end of that bus at about 85 kilometers an hour. Engine mount snapped, engine and transmission came out under the vehicle. Don't know how we walked away from that, but we did. Smitty had the team lead's number on speed dial, called him, and those guys were Johnny on the spot. But my first day on the ground, I blew out my C2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, L4, L5, S1, and so through medicine and shots and the team doc, I made it a year on that contract.
Wow!
So that was day one. So and the contracts just kept getting better from there. So just a quick intro to some of the interesting things.
You can only hope the contracts got better from there after a day one being like that. I was at Jalalabad in 2012 on our way out in Jalalabad, and they had a VBIED go at that side of the compound where the Afghan Special Forces compound was on the commando side there. A VBIED came in there, and we had already turned in all but I think 5 rounds each at that point. And that thing went off, and we're sitting in the transient tents like, great, we made it through this whole tour, and now we're in another fight as we have nothing to fight with. And you can just look outside, see the smoke coming up. You can hear the firefight, and just hope that it didn't come across the flight line.
Oh yeah. We were attached to the Kandak there at Polish Sharpie, what ended up becoming Black Horse. That was interesting. So General Order number 1 was more of a consideration than an order in those days, especially when you had the French and German compound just down the road. Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah. So, you'd go from having somebody chase you or shooting at you, and that night you were sitting on the French compound having fried camembert for dinner, or schnitzel, either one. You picked which one you wanted.
It's a whole different world.
There were some surreal times. It was interesting.
Definitely. And when did you transition out of overseas contracting to getting gigs on this side of the world?
There would be times over a 20-year period where I'd come home for a year, maybe 2, until I just got itchy feet and I couldn't sit behind a desk anymore. But the wife basically gave me an ultimatum after the last contract in Balad. And she said, "Look, I didn't get married so I could end up living like a widow the rest of my life. So I think I've been patient long enough." And God bless her, because she's had to move. This is like the 18th move she's done since we've been married. So she's been a trooper through it. So 2020 was the last go round. And so I started sitting behind a desk doing subcontracts management stuff for different types of government contracting, whether it's NAVFAC contracts at in San Diego, or whether it's out in Camp Lejeune, or FEMA contracts, or anything that it required FAR or DFAR requirements. Just based on my knowledge of those over the years. And that's kind of what led me to doing this. And as I'm getting older, getting out and kind of moving around a little bit, it's not as easy as it used to be, especially with some of the aches and pains. But when I see things going on, and it's kind of a joke in our family, because the wife and I'll sit and watch the news at night. And every time something comes on about a new conflict or something, she'll just pause the TV and turn and look at me and go, "No." And I'm like, I didn't say it. She's like, "Just no. You're not doing that again." So, yeah, it's kind of hard to sit in the bleachers.
It is. It's very hard, and especially when you've done it for so long, you get that itch. It's almost like an addiction. You got to be back in it. You feel like you're not doing enough now because you're on this side of it and not able to give back to those who are over there, and maybe help out that little bit and give that little 10 cents, 10% of what everyone else is doing, and try to help them out and get ahead. And it does really feel bad when you're only can watch it on the news or YouTube and see what's happening.
Well, and you make a really good point. At least for me personally, that was So I got recruited for SVAS back in Germany in the 80s, when they started doing inter-theater recruitment for special forces. I still to this day don't know how that came about. I just know that my commander called myself and one of the guys in my company into his office and said, "Hey, I want you at the post theater at 6 o'clock in the morning." I'm like, we just did our piss test. Like, what are we? And they're like, "Nope, something different." Like, all right. And so Special Forces started doing, I don't know if it was the beginning of the SVAS program, but somewhere like that. And I had wanted ever since I was a kid. That's all I ever wanted to do. Right. I either wanted to be Zorro or James Bond, and both those jobs were taken. So that was the most logical step. Obviously. And but at the time, my stepdad at the time was being investigated by the Bureau because he and our pastor were going down to El Salvador when the whole guerrilla warfare was going on in El Salvador, and they were helping people get out of El Salvador and into Mexico, and then eventually some of them into the United States. So when I learned that was going on, I just told myself, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm going to ever get in with that kind of thing hanging over my head, even though I had a NATO top secret at the time. So I didn't even bother with it. So, but that's always kind of been something that's stuck in my craw all those years. So that's why I've done everything I can over the years to be as supportive of the teams as I can in any way I can.
It's outstanding. And I mean, you gave your career early days to the Army. Let the Army beat you up a little bit, and there's no two ways about it. You're gonna get hurt, and something's gonna go wrong in your body after being in the Army. And you gave that, and then you decide to go and put yourself in harm's way as a contractor after twisting out the arm by your buddy, and now you're on this side with that note from home saying you can't go anymore. You're staying home and being with me. What made you start to think, hey, maybe I should start becoming a writer?
It's something I've always wanted to do. I guess I was the I don't know, the Cyrano de Bergerac of the military or something, man. As a kid, I always loved poetry, which was really weird. I was kind of I don't know. I'm a walking contradiction, because on one hand, I love being deployed. I I love being in the mix, but at the same time, I read the classics. I read poetry. I was a theater kid when I was in high school. I mean, just not the kind of guy you would think. It's like they seem to be two completely different things there. But I had tried my hand at writing probably 10 different books over the years. I'd get, I don't know, maybe somewhere 10 chapters in, and then just get sidetracked, lose interest, writer's block, whatever it was. And then I would lose whatever it was I was writing. And a year later, I'd go to look for it and the hard drive was crashed, or any number of things. And then I helped my wife write a book. Well, I didn't help her, but I encouraged her and kind of supported her to write a book, which is something she had always wanted to do. And she does these paranormal kind of things. And I guess I just kind of went, you know what? I think I can do this. And the book, the Amir, just there you go, the Tora Bora Vendetta. It's fiction built around some real life events. Two friends of mine, one is, one's a former SEAL and CIA case officer. The other is a former ODA, first Iranian Special Forces member in U.S. history, longest serving member of the A-teams. And he was the guy that, everybody's aware of Argo, the movie Ben Affleck did, right, where he's rescuing the hostages from Iran, all that. Well, there was a mission prior to that Carter had greenlit. And my buddy Changiz was the guy that planned that. He was from Tehran. His family were all still there. And he had just finished the Q course and been assigned to his first unit. And he got Carter to greenlight him going over there and finding where the hostages were being kept and planning a rescue mission. And some people know the story, some don't, but there was a sandstorm, took out 3 of those 4 helicopters, and they had to scrap the mission. And so that's how the whole Argo thing came about. But there's some other things that these guys have been involved in. And so I kind of wrote this book with the two of them in mind as the main characters. But I found the whole process to be somewhat therapeutic. I'm not a guy that typically has a lot of patience for many things. I tried meditation years ago, but I just didn't have the patience to just sit there and breathe. So I never thought I'd actually have enough patience to finish it. But yeah, there was a sense of accomplishment through that entire process. And then, submitting it to a publisher, having the publisher go, hey, yeah, we want to publish this. There was a sense of vulnerability. There was a kind of a fear in a way there, unlike anything I'd experienced overseas. Right. I'm sure everybody's seen the meme of Donald Duck laying on the cot and he opens his eye and then goes back to sleep, right, as it pertains to incoming. But I mean, you know as well as I do, man. That's a thing. You're in the GP mediums and you're laying there the first couple of weeks, and incoming's coming in. You can't go back to sleep. But after 2 weeks, you're like, oh, that's off. That's outside the wire. You just go back to sleep. But yeah, there was a bit of fear putting myself out there, kind of unlike anything from a physical perspective I had experienced. And yeah, had to kind of grab the guts and go, okay, let's see where this goes. And so far so good. And I'm 2/3 of the way finished with the second book, which is going to be the first in a series. I'm calling Codename Chaos. And if anybody's read the Amir yet, this next series it's a lot grittier. There's a lot more action. It gets a little dark in places, but it's about as real as I can make it.
Nice. And you say series, how many books you want to make that series?
The plan right now is for at least 3.
Okay.
But I've kind of determined I'm in this for the long haul. This is kind of my retirement goal. And I'm not doing this to make money at it. That was never the intention. The first book was kind of an idea of kind of paying tribute to my 2 buddies in a way, but also kind of a cathartic kind of thing for me in that process. But it kind of lit the fuse. And the more that I'm writing this next one, I'm going, I can really do this. Like it's a part of that dream. Like those 10 other books I've tried writing all over the years and never succeeded at it. Now it's like, no, now I know I can do this. And I'm kind of looking at it same as I did with anything else. I'm taking classes online on my own. BBC's got these maestro classes where some of the biggest authors in modern history have done these courses. So anything I can do to just try to make myself a little bit better, learn some better techniques. I'm trying to invest in that. But it wasn't just the writing. I made a promise to myself when I left Afghanistan the last time that when I kind of got back to a somewhat normal life, I would kind of try my hand at acting again. And just finished a movie year and a half ago. It's on Amazon Prime and Apple TV right now, and then did a TV show for an episode a couple of years before that. And so every once in a while, I'll put myself out there and audition for something and just try to stay active. But it's kind of an outlet in a way.
What's the movie's name that you're in?
The one is called The Beast of Trinity, Texas. A buddy of mine, Terry Weaver, who's a Navy corpsman. Terry's an actor and an author, but he wrote the script, and I would venture to say 80. I could be wrong, but I think at least 80% of the people that were in that movie were veterans.
Wow.
And that was all filmed up in Trinity County, Crockett, Texas area. And we had a fun time with it, and it's doing pretty well on streaming. It's now in 13 plus countries, I think.
Nice.
And and then the TV show I did was called Breaking Strongholds. Season 2, I think my scene's the next one to be released, whenever that's going to be. But it's more of a Christian faith-based TV show.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a weird guy. I kind of try my hand at. I don't let fear stop me. I'm one of those guys that goes, I can do that. And
you're building your IMDb page as you're doing all these things as well.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. When I'll tell somebody, they're like, "Hey, what have you been?" I'm like, "Well, go to my IMDb page," and they're like, "Yeah, right." Like, it's somebody you work with, and they go, "You're an idiot!" Like, like there's no way.
Yeah. You'll be surprised how many people wind up on those pages just by being on a show like this. They get added to my IMDb just by being a guest. So, all right, everyone gets on there.
There you go.
So, in some roundabout way, we all wind up being famous without trying, or infamous.
Or infamous, exactly.
Was Tim Comer in that movie with you?
Tim Comer.
EOD guy.
What is he?
He's an EOD guy.
I'll look up. I actually flew in. We were living in Tennessee. I was actually living in a camper down by the lake. Literally, when Terry called me, he said, "Hey, I'm going to email you a script. I want you to read it." And then he said, "What do you think about playing the pastor?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." So I got on a plane when it was time to shoot, flew back into Houston, rented a truck, drove up to Crockett, and filmed for the day, and then flew home. So I know a good number of the folks that are in that movie just as personal friends, whether it was through acting class or through Terry or whatnot. But no, I don't remember meeting Tim. No, there's another guy in there, another veteran named Tim Scoggins that was in there. And I'm trying to remember what Tim did. I think he's an Army guy, but yeah, there was a ton of military guys in there, and that was kind of a sense of pride. And the funny thing is, Terry and I, when we first met in acting class, we just kept looking at each other like, "You look real familiar." And he goes, "You ever see the show?" And I was like, "No." I'm like, "What do you do for a living?" He told me. I'm like, "No, that's not it." And he was like, "Military?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, where were you at?" And I said, "Well, the last so many years, Iraq and Afghanistan." "Where were you in Afghanistan?" Camp Polisharky, Camp Phoenix. Camp Phoenix. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I was a corpsman. I was attached to the Marine unit." I was like, what? He goes, "It had to have been somewhere in the PX area or something, man." He goes, "So it's the only thing we could figure out." But we were both like, "Yeah, you look real familiar for some reason."
Jake said that Tim was a set man in the movie. He looked it up.
A set guy. I'll have to look him up and see. Ask. Oh, so does he know the guy? Does he know the movie?
He just looked it up. He said, and I guess he talked to Tim, and Tim when Tim was on the show, because Tim was on the show about a year and a half ago. He told us about things he was doing, and that might have been one of the things. And Jake probably remembered because he was on the Tuesday crew.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. The guy y'all had on Tuesday crew a few shows back, the grunge music.
Oh yeah, Michael Allen. Yes.
Yeah, I need to get some of that. Who did your intro song, by the way?
I did.
You did that?
Yes.
I'm sitting here going, it's like, banging my head. It's like 5-finger death punch or something like that.
That was the goal. It was a cross between like the Jay-Z and Linkin Park move that when they did that collaboration, and straight 9 Inch Nails and grunge stuff that we listened to while deployed to get everyone pumped up. It seems to work. Everyone seems to like it now. So I think I hit that one. No,
that's a great lead-in song, man. Good job.
Thank you. All right. Oh, we got a question from the audience for you. This is from Cinnamandi1. Dean, after everything you experienced in Iraq and Afghanistan, what was the moment that tested your resilience the most, and how did you push through it?
Wow. If I have to think back, and forgive me, because I talked about it earlier, but sometimes when I go back to it, it kind of hits me. Like I said, Smitty was one of my best friends in the entire world. And before we hit that bus, you know how fine that sand is on the ground. I mean, it's like snot. It's so slippery. And I was cranking the wheel and pumping the brakes, and nothing worked. And I just remember looking over towards Smitty right when we were hitting, and I remember seeing his head bounce off the dash. And then when we finally got out of the vehicle, I remember I remember thinking, because we had probably about 50 different villagers that had just, come walking up from the village, and people had gotten off the bus that were really pissed off. And all I could remember thinking is, yeah, my mom's going to see me hanging from a bridge somewhere on the news tonight, right? That was the first thing that came to mind. But also seeing it and feeling responsible, since I was the one behind the wheel, and thinking that my best friend may be getting killed as a result of that. That was kind of a hard thing to swallow. Still is. But that being day one and having to push through the spinal injury for the rest of the year for that was the toughest part. That was probably the toughest one. But just keeping that don't quit mentality, and also after what we had just gone through, making sure I didn't let my friend down.
Definitely. And I think every veteran has that same feeling, especially if you lost somebody or someone close to you is taken from us. It weighs heavy on your heart. It weighs heavy in your head. And your next move always has to be something to make them proud. And maybe, is this something they would do? Is this something that they would say, hey, great job, Dean, or hey, this great job, Rich? Is that what they wanted? And how do we live their legacy, keep their legacy alive? One, by saying their name as much as we can, and two, by living life with purpose. And I think that's what you're doing.
And I've tried to memorialize my friend as a main character in the next book. Just kind of keep him out there in the forefront.
Definitely. And that's the best thing you can do, and that keeps him in the front of everything. And a lot of people, maybe may not understand why it's important to you, but the best thing is, why it's important.
Yep. And
you're able to share that now.
Yeah, and it it's also helped. He passed very unexpectedly last year. Well, sorry, year before last. So it's been about 15 months now. And his son called me to tell me. It was one of those surreal moments, but they were all getting together. The family was all getting together and invited me to be there. And so we were there at the house with everyone. I finally met his mother, his brother, his sister. I'd known his wife and his son through all the years that he and I had worked together in deployments. And so maintaining the relationship, with his family and staying close to them, that's been a tremendous help for me. So yeah,
it definitely is. And you can tell just how you got emotional during that answer and letting it go. You can tell what it means to you and what he meant to you as well. And that's what it's all about. And
yeah,
doing the things we do after is what makes it better.
I think sometimes we get caught up in the whole, machismo thing sometimes, but I think that there is a love and a bond that you develop with your brothers and sisters in arms, right? And I'm including the female soldiers and Marines in that as well. There is a bond that you develop in those moments that you don't have with anybody else. You don't, because you haven't gone through that extent of life or death. You haven't gone through those moments of wondering if that's going to be your last breath or not, right, with anybody else. So there's a bond and a love for one another for your brother and your sister that you're it's going to be different than you have for anybody else. And I'm not ashamed to ever say, hey, I love my brother, right? And I would do anything in the world for him, right? I think that's how we are. I think sometimes we're afraid to admit that, but I'm too old. I don't give a shit anymore. I'll say it's just the way it is.
It's afraid to say it, and a lot of us are hard-headed, and that's just the veteran community in general. Hard-headed is that should be like the first thing, like Rich LaMonica, hard-headed, and then whatever else I do, because we all have this problem with one, sharing our feelings, two, getting help for our feelings, and getting help for our head, any injuries. Like you, for a year, you relied on the doc that was there to help you, but you could have probably went further away. You could have probably went to Germany and then back home with those injuries because you're hard-headed, and you didn't want to leave your buddies behind there. So
I'm still dealing with it now. I just went to the VA on Thursday, and I got to tell you, and I know everybody out there will know this. Has anybody ever been able to say, I had a great experience at the VA, right? Like, oh man, that was fantastic. Let me tell you, Thursday, I had a great experience at the VA. So I told you we just got transferred to this new location. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere out here, but there's a VA hospital, and it's seen better days because it's not in the best of shape. So the nurse had come in and she did the vitals and the check and all that. And a couple of minutes later, she's like, the doc will be in a few minutes. A couple of minutes later, this guy maybe in his 30s, early 40s, bald head, beard, chain around his neck, and scrubs. And he walks in and pokes his head in the door. And I was like, can I help you? He goes, you Davidson? I said, yeah, the nurse has already been in, man. I'm waiting on the doc. He goes, yeah, I'm the doc. And I was like,
what?
Wait, what? And he was the most laid back. And he said, look, I do things a little bit different. He said, I'm a vet, so I'm going to talk to you like vet to vet. And I was like, okay. He goes, and if you're effed up, I'm going to tell you you're effed up. And I just looked at your records. You're effed up. I was like,
thank you.
But he spent an hour with me going through everything. He didn't rush me. I mean, he was very attentive, man. I've never had anything like that at the VA. So kudos to them. Yeah.
I mean, I've never had that either. And I've been going there since just a few months after I got out. And that's not a story I can tell.
At
all. Pretty much ever. But that's a good one. I'm glad this is recording so people could see this forever.
You're that guy.
You're the one.
From Top Gun. So you're the one.
I was inverted, and we were talking and communicating. Yeah, we were communicating. So definitely, you're the one right now. And
that's the movie that made me join the military.
Of course it was.
And everybody goes, well, why didn't you join the Navy? Because I freaking don't look good in white.
It's a good reason.
And I hate bell bottoms.
They don't bring out my eyes, so I can't wear them. So it's good. All right, we got another question from Van Diesel. How did your spinal injury change your perspective on purpose, identity, and continuing the mission beyond the battlefield? Thank you, Van.
Great question. I think I had to come to grips with things that as men, I think we don't typically come to accept or deal with until we're much older. I watched my dad go through this in his 80s where he's like, no, I can do this. Well, no, you can't anymore. Right. But he's like, I've been able to do this all my life. I know you have. But I think I had to accept, and it took me a few years, but I had to come to accept there are some things I just cannot do anymore physically. Things that would have never been an issue for me before this injury. But there are things that have made me realize I have limitations. That as a man, I'm going, no, I can pick that up. I can move that. I don't need help with, those types of things. And you get frustrated because you realize you can't do those things. So it's taken a while for me to kind of change my mental perspective on what I can and cannot do, and come to terms with and accept that, and realize that if I didn't accept it, I was just going to kind of remain a frustrated old curmudgeon and making life miserable for my wife and everybody around me if I didn't. So yeah, I mean, it took a while for me to get there, but again, it's one of those things, we're stubborn and hard-headed about things. And I still will occasionally do things I probably shouldn't. And then I end up grabbing a heating pad and having to sit down for an hour to relax the muscles and the issues in my spine, because my wife's like, was it worth it? It's like the "I told you so" thing.
It's reason. Yep.
Oh yeah,
always. And we never learn, so that's the problem. We still, even though you had to go through the heating pad and all that stuff, you won't learn, because you're going to do that same thing again, and probably just a few weeks after. So.
And until the surgery, I've been putting that off. The VA's been trying to make me do surgery, and thank God my wife is a retired nurse, and she worked that unit for a number of years. And when the first VA doc said, I think we're going to have to look at surgery, probably need to put a rod down, my wife goes, like hell you will. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, She's like, I've never seen anybody get better after that. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You think you're in pain now, but I have been hearing a lot of people talk about the new fusion surgeries that they're doing, where they're fusing those discs together, and people are saying they're feeling better than they have in years. So we're talking about the potential of that, but just in talking to people that have had it and all of the positives that they're saying 6 months, a year, 2 years after they've had that surgery, I mean, it's kind of lending some hope that, hey, maybe there is some relief afterwards, right? So, and I figured, man, I've survived a chemical attack in Bakuba. I've survived incoming rounds that took out my office when I was supposed to be sitting at my desk. I've survived getting chased by insurgents. And I mean, there's all these things that I've somehow miraculously through the grace of God have survived. So I'm sure a little spinal surgery will be okay. I can handle that. Yeah. And again, it goes back to the question about perspective, right? I think if you put everything in perspective, man, there's been so many times that I shouldn't have walked away. And every day after that was just a blessing. So if I keep that perspective, it kind of helps keep my head on straight, right?
It definitely does. And you keep pushing forward no matter what the pain is. And if that spinal surgery at the VA, that's the second check on that thing there. At the VA is the other portion of that. If that's the way it's going to go, let it happen, and maybe they'll get it right. If it's the fusion or the rod, I'd go with the fusion myself, because I've had some friends get the fusion after some bad jumps, and they feel a lot better. They are doing a lot better than they did before.
Well, and when that first happened and I first started going to the VA with it, the first thing they wanted to do was give me oxy.
Of course. And
I went, no. And they were like, but you're in a lot of pain. Like, yeah, but I'm not taking oxy. It's like, well, we'll put you through pain management. And then I'm like, all right, we'll do the PT. I'll go do the swim stuff to try and strengthen the muscles in the back and all these different things. But after about the 6th or 7th time that they tried to put me on oxy, I literally told the doc at the time, I said, if you offer it to me one more time, I'm going to file a complaint with the medical board. I said, I've seen you do this shit to too many vets, right? They come in here, they're in pain, they're suffering. First thing you do is put them on narcotics. They get hooked on it. You never treat the underlying symptoms, the issue, right? And then they end up having an addiction problem. I'm not going down that road, right? So now, a few years later, when the discomfort and the pain is just getting to the point where it's like, all right, I'm at the point where I'm tired of toughing it out, right? Being stubborn. Maybe I can not oxy, but maybe there's something else that can help relax the muscles or whatever. And they were like, oh yeah, we don't give out pain medicines anymore. It's like, of course not.
Why wouldn't you? Jake chimed in when you said that Top Gun's why you joined the military. He said now he feels old because he was in AIT when Top Gun came out. He joined because of Apocalypse Now.
Well, he's not much older than me. Wait, he joined with Apocalypse Now.
He'll say something else here in a second. He also said Bakuba was a lovely place.
It wasn't it? Bob Warhorse, man. I had some great times. There's a story I'll tell at a different time about how spaghetti and meat sauce saved my life that day.
Oh my. I'll take one last question from the audience here. This is from Come and Get It. You've traveled to over 50 countries. What's one lesson about people or culture that changed the way you lead and communicate? Thank you.
Oh man. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Going back to why I've traveled real quick is my aunt and uncle, they traveled the world. I mean, they traveled around the world 3 or 4 times. And I remember being a little kid, and after they would go somewhere, they'd always come back home and they'd have the little slide things because they get all the pictures done in slides, and they do a slide presentation for the family to talk about and show pictures where they've been. And that just really inspired me to want to travel around the world. And so the military and military contracting gave me the opportunity to do that. And so one of my primary goals as a teenager was I wanted to travel all over the world. I wanted to see as many places as I could, experience as many different cultures, language, foods, all that stuff. As I got a little bit older and I started doing that traveling, I kind of started thinking about, well, I wonder how they're interpreting me as an American, right? Because I've been to a lot of places where, no offense, I'm an American too, and I love my country, but some of y'all don't know how to act when you travel someplace, right? You're loud, you're belligerent, you expect everything to be the way it is, just like it is here at home. And so my perspective was, how are people seeing me versus how am I seeing them? How do they perceive things that I take for granted? How do they see it? So when I started just being curious about that, it really kind of enlightened me a little bit, because I started looking at, everybody sees things from their own vantage point, right? What they've been exposed to, what they understand, what they know. And if you've never had experience with something, you've never been exposed to something, you don't have a point of reference to really. So you're not going to see the same thing, something the same way that I do, right? So I think it started making me a little more understanding of how people view different things, right? So, but I think it also, leading teams of 25, 30 people, at different times, different companies throughout the years. It's always been a wide variety of people, whether they're from India, whether they were from Russia, whether they were from Nigeria, wherever they were from. It opened me up to trying to see things from their perspective and having a little more understanding from where they were coming from. And I think, and at least I hope, that kind of made me a little bit better leader in that perspective.
I'm sure it did. It surely didn't make you a worse leader, but being exposed to cultures and seeing how things happen in other places and being able to bring all that to one bearing with all your leadership lessons that you learned along the way, to make one good leadership dynamic for you. So I think it helped you out a lot more than you think. It really did.
I hope so.
All right, so Dean, we're coming close to that golden hour here, and it's almost time to ask you our final 2 questions. And they're easy ones. One you should know by heart. So what's the best way for the Misfit Nation, our audience, to get in contact with you if, say, some of them want to have you on their shows, or maybe they just want to talk to you about maybe how to get to Hollywood, how to get into writing and stuff like that?
They can reach out either through Podmatch, which is where a lot of the podcasts and interviews that I'm doing, that's where those are coming from. Or they can email me. I'll give you my email address here. I'll put it out there. It's American.grizzly55@gmail.
All right, I am sharing it to the world. It can't come back now.
Oh, wait.
Oh, that's not the one. That's your other handle. I got it.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Also shared your author page on there. I've been sharing it throughout the show
thank you. I just set up a YouTube channel and have started working with this brilliant I don't know if I should call him a cinematographer. What he is, he's from Hollywood, moved to Texas, and he's done some of the shows for Discovery and History Channel and things like that. And we did some stuff at the American Legion Hall there in Willis, Texas. It's a Purple Heart Post 618, and they were gracious enough to let me use the hall to film some stuff there. And man, I mean that guy, you've seen some of these documentaries where guys are sitting there talking about, the war and things like that. And it literally came out looking just like a professional documentary. So we're going to start working together to put more content out, perspectives on the Iraq or the Iran war and other things that are, some of those videos are already out. So we've got the YouTube channel going, and I'm kind of keep track of what's going on. The book is available on Amazon.com. I'm trying to put something together for Memorial Day for active duty and veterans. I'm trying to work some of those things out with the publisher right now, but yeah, if the audience is interested, yeah, I may have something special coming for our community.
Outstanding. It'd be great to see, and we'll look forward to that. And the last question we have for you, Dean: what can the Misfit Nation start doing tomorrow to be better people?
Guys, I would just say be kind to one another. Number one, have your battle buddies back, right? Reach out, check on your buddies, man. We've lost way too many. The 22 a day. We can't sustain those numbers, guys. We need to keep reaching out. I've got guys that I served with back in the 80s that stayed in a lot longer than I did. Those guys can call me at 3:00 in the morning. That's what we're there for, right? But also try to be kind to one another, man. I think between politics, the media, and everything else out there, we're all like wound tighter than a drum, and for vets especially, we're already that way. So, yeah, count to 5, man. Do something unexpected and just be kind to somebody, and yeah, let's try to make it a better place, and hopefully that'll help us in the process.
Outstanding. Those are good ones right there. Misfit Nation, take heed to those. And Dean, thank you for taking some of your time tonight to hang out with the Misfit Nation, share your story, share your book, The Amir, and hopefully it gets some bites from the audience, and hopefully you keep on that trajectory and get that IMDb really built up, and you get them maybe one of those crazy awards they give out over there in that Hollywood place.
Hey, from your lips to God's ears, brother.
Heck yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you guys.
Outstanding. Thanks again, Dean. Misfit Nation, thanks for tuning in tonight. I know it's Sunday. I know you've had a long week. I know the Elite Eight is on the first games to get to the Final Four tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Remember what I said at the beginning of the show. Love the ones around you. Hug your little ones. Make sure they know you love them. And be kind, just like Dean said. And if you are a veteran or anyone out there and you're feeling that darkness start to cave in, don't make a permanent decision. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I know it sounds horrible saying it's a temporary problem because I'm not the one going through it. You are. But it's only temporary. If it's only permanent if you let it be permanent. Link it temporary. Phone a friend. Reach in that wallet. Take out that 1-inch piece of paper with those 3 names on it. Call them up. They want to hear from you. Just like Dean just said, reach out to your battle buddies. It goes both ways. If you're feeling bad, reach out to them. Make them yell at you. Make them get your head straight. Then be here tomorrow. Because a day tomorrow with you is 100% better than one without you. Until next time, Misfit Nation, be humble, stay hungry, and you just keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation Show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.